So, we're going to talk a little bit today about stress, anxiety, the nervous system, and really everything that's related to releasing emotional density, trauma, drama from your body, your mind, and your life. And this is a pretty big topic. Obviously, you could say this topic encapsulates and encompasses all the work that I do, everything I offer, really everything involved with embodying your true essence, going beyond the old conditioning, the old emotional levels, all the identification with everything you were ever told you're supposed to be, supposed to do, everything we've all, since we're all here in this human suit, been told at times that you're not good enough or you're wrong for being the way you are, et cetera, all the fear, all the separation. So, what I really want to convey in this message is number one, some tools for transcending any kind of anxiety, stress, emotional trauma, depression, whatever words you want to give it, anything where you're not in presence, feeling that all is well, feeling the beauty of life, feeling like the love that you are and the love of all creation, and really sharing a message of truth, I'll call it, that you can achieve that no matter where you're at. And I will say achieve it, not that you have to earn it or it's like achieving some reward, but it isn't a reward. And it does take commitment, focus, awareness, wisdom, experience. So it takes your effort and your, I will say, just a real commitment to yourself, to life, to enjoying life. And that's pretty easy. But the truth is, having gone through this journey of transcending the emotional states and the trauma and the drama, um, that commitment has to be big and firm and choosing for yourself and being true to yourself because you will be tested in every way, shape, and form. And although divinity is simple, I mean, you are your essence. You know, you're not the human, the body, the mind. Uh, you are this presence that animates your physical body. You're a light being having a human experience, but the human experience is complex. It can be muddy, dirty, messy, crazy, the intense emotions, the highs, the lows, the fears, the richness of life can be very intense. And for myself, and basically everyone I know, my friends, the people I've worked with, it has been at times very confusing and frustrating trying to navigate how do I really transcend the density, the unsavory parts, we'll say, of human life. Not that everything can be avoided or transcended, but there is a point in which you no longer suffer the emotions. You no longer suffer life's circumstances where everything is to some extent accepted, not identified with. You let everything be what it is. You flow through life. You become this flow of your essence through the body with life in a harmonious dance with everyone and all of creation with very little, if any, at times, friction, resistance. And as we release all the friction and resistance within ourselves, then we don't have the friction and resistance with anyone else or the outside world, and life really transforms into a beautiful dance. And it's still intense. It still is challenging in different ways. But this topic today is mainly about your nervous system, feeling relaxed, that all is well, releasing the emotional blocks, the energy blocks, whatever you want to call it. So, you can call it integrating aspects, resolving past lives, clearing out your Akashic field, collapsing the old dimensions, releasing, collapsing all the old energies, expanding through all dimensions, going into 5D, leaving the old earth, going into the new earth. There's just no end. Somatic healing, past life, childhood integration, aspectology, on and on. There's so many different systems, so many different approaches, but they all boil down to the same thing, getting to the root cause of emotional distress. And the emotional distress is not just mental. Of course, many are plagued with thoughts that are positive, negative, positive, negative thoughts, but also it affects the physical health of your body and how relaxed you feel in a body. So, all of these systems, it could be religious, spiritual, Buddhist, you've got acupuncture, acupressure, Tai Chi, yoga, Eastern, Western, blah, blah, blah. Um, Therapy, counseling, hypnosis, massage, Reiki, energy work, on and on and on and on. They all are pointing to the same thing, releasing the old, being in presence and awareness. And I'll repeat that because the key to all of this is the arising of your awareness, the expansion of your awareness from this little tiny focal point of what you were taught as a human. This is what life is. And I don't know, you grow up, you go to school, then you go to college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you retire, you die. Whatever the things we were conditioned, it all boils down to the expansion of your awareness of, wow, I'm more than this human. I'm not my emotions. I'm more than this body, this mind, and these emotions. I'm the awareness of all of it. And all the methods that I described, and probably thousands more, really all point to the same thing, becoming aware of who or what you truly are, which you can only be aware of because you can't define it. Divinity is not definable, and the essence that um, animates your body. So we go beyond a lot of what was taught, and there's no wrong or right way to go there. So I wanted to give this overview today to maybe assist folks with expanding that awareness of more big picture on how we can, in the multiple ways and the multiple tools that we can use to relieve the anxiety, to feel safe and at home in your body, to feel supported by life itself, for you are life and it's not separate from you. And to, really enjoy this life, to wake up, to embody, to live as your true essence, as more of a expression of who you truly are versus all the fears and all the taught stuff. And yeah, to enjoy life. And I speak from a lot of experience here just because I'll share my background and why I have dabbled in probably hundreds of different philosophies, varieties, programs, systems, etc. 15 years ago, I was taking, no, all throughout my childhood, teens, 20s, 30s, I struggled with a lot of anxiety, social anxiety. I guess in hindsight, it was also what could be diagnosed, if it had been, as depression or whatever. Um, I don't have a lot of happy memories of childhood, and that's still a blessing because it brought me to look at things. Most of us, the breaking points in life are our biggest gifts. So everything has a blessing in it. Um, so if my life had been too comfortable, too easygoing, then I wouldn't be here today with the level of awareness and enjoyment that I have. So some of us need a kick in the butt from ourselves to finally transcend the human illusion, to get out of the karmic cycle of incarnate, 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 till you balance out the imbalances. The truth is, you don't have to balance out any more imbalances. You can actually step beyond all of the programming, conditioning, and the past. And you can do that all now in this life. So 15 years ago, I was on multiple ADD meds, anxiety meds, antidepressants, and bipolar meds. and on and off, some of them for years until about 15, 14 years ago. I was on all of them all at once. Very special. Continuously trying to balance out my imbalances, to feel good, to just finally feel good, clear, light in a body, and enjoy life. So I tried all the alternative things. I mean, everything from energy work, herbs, diet, cutting everything out of my diet over the years, and then trying every different diet, exercise, tons of yoga, breath, meditation, on and on and on until finally, oh, and at times drinking too much, smoking a little pot, just things to feel better. And through all that exploration, I'll call it, or maybe experimentation would be a better word, um, ultimately I got to a point taking so many meds all at once that my body started shutting down and I couldn't function anymore. And it was actually we'll call it kind of like the curtain call. It was like, this is it. We either have to find a real, true solution to get to the root cause of this all, or we keep going this direction. Well, it's going to be a short life, and that was in my 30s. So I came very close to not being here. So I'm almost 50 now, and I feel blessed every day to wake up and to be alive and to feel good in my body, to feel good about life, to feel good about myself, to fully accept myself, to fully accept others where they're at. Hey, whatever works for you. And yet it's been about 12 years since I pulled the plug on all the meds. And that's how I ended up where I'm at, saying, I have to get to the bottom of this. I'm just not willing to keep putting these band-aids on. In fact, my body just couldn't take it anymore. So I'm not advocating that anybody stop taking medication. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm not a doctor. So you have to always listen to your own inner knowing. And at that time, my own inner knowing was, we gotta go direct with this. I will not live like this anymore. And that is the commitment. That's where the passion came to really explore, who am I? What am I? Why do I feel like this? What is this whole world about? What is this life about? So, over the next decade, I would explore a lot of that and eventually start working with others. So, when I do sessions today with people, one-on-ones, energy work, group sessions, on and on, there's a huge toolbox that I have now of experience to pull from trying everything, 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 in order to get to this place now of feeling truly, um, really blessed in every day and every breath and every moment, even when things go a little wonky in the outside world. So, if I can do it, anyone can. And getting here, I realized that there's all these tools available. There's just endless tools, and none of them are right and none of them are wrong. And so many folks go into reading this book, that book, this spiritual group, that spiritual group. Spirituality has become a lot more common and popular, kind of like religion. And many times folks go into working with this teacher, this group, that group. And now they have a whole new set of rules, kind of like, you have to pray to Mary, not Jesus, or whatever. And so it's funny because technically it all serves and it's all beautiful. So whatever works for you and feels good for you, if it's still working for you, go for it, whatever that is. Yet at some point we transcend all the rules, all the rituals, all the ceremonies, all the step 1 through 10, this, that, and the other, and go direct with ourself. So the one thing that I learned, or I've embodied, I've integrated, and I live every day now, is that the most important thing, the most important thing through all somatic healing, through all restoring and rebuilding and rewriting of your nervous system, is your awareness, your presence, being fully here now, not being up in the mind, the ability to feel and not think, and that there's not really that much to figure out. Presence does everything. Your presence is the presence of God. You're a facet of all that is the Son of God, or whatever you want to call it. But that is the presence that animates your body. And it is the unconditional love, love being the ultimate healing force. Above all, love is the most healing thing there is. It is actually at the core of all life. So, everything I'm about to talk about, the first thing to always come back to within yourself is to take a deep breath, feel your presence, the awareness of your awareness, and to feel and not think. And so when I went through all these interesting healing methodologies, methods, and I look around at everyone I know doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. That is the thing to always come back to. And it all points to the same thing. So, if we're talking about restoring your nervous system, releasing old emotions, releasing emotions from your body, letting them release. So, little tidbit for you, if you're in presence, it's already releasing. Every moment in presence, it's just dissolving all the gunk that you've embodied. So it's kind of happening on its own. But there is other work to do. There's no like ABC, here's step 1 through 10, or somebody would have written a book, as I've said before, they'd be a multi-trillionaire now and everybody on the planet would be enlightened and it'd just be that simple. So it's a dance. And that's why it's important to do what feels good for you and listen to your own inner knowing, because there's not one path. There's 8 billion people on the planet. It's unique for everyone, as it should be. We are all conscious explorers. I don't care how asleep someone is. We are all on our own journey of exploring. Wow, what is it like for this eternal presence to be in a human body? And uniquely, what works for me, and based on my human experience, plus my own uniqueness as an essence, as a being. And that's going to look different for everyone. But there are some universal truths: presence, awareness. And I will say number 2 would be the absence of judgment. Can you just allow everything, the emotions to arise, energies to move through, the world to be what it is? Enlightenment is the absence of judgment, period, end of story. But where the mind is concerned, we also have to bring the mind along. You can't just be in presence. So maybe if you lived on the top of a mountain and never interacted with other people, never watched TV, you could do that and just lived with the bunnies and the bluebirds and the butterflies. I don't know. But let's be real. This is about living everyday life, being fully human, and still embodying that presence. So we have to rewrite the conscious mind as we clear out the subconscious of all the old traumas and dramas. Um, we bring the mind along, we bring the body along, and we are rewriting everything from the DNA through ancestral energies, through every cell of your body, rebuilding and rebeautifying itself. So, as we have all these different practices available, do what feels good for you, and don't let anybody tell you this is wrong or that's wrong or you should do it this way. This really comes down to going direct and connecting to yourself and trusting that inner knowing. Maybe it's an inner voice. Maybe it is one of my favorites that I share so much about every day in my life. I still go to, all right, this direction is in my highest and best good. The body will tell you a yes or no, just like that. And it is truth through your body. Your body is your instrument, your conduit. It's your best friend. It's the tool to use in every situation. Call it muscle testing if you like. But at any crossroads, there's days I wonder if, would the body prefer a hamburger or a salad, whatever. And of course, it's more important about the big things, but you can always play with this connection to your knowingness with every little decision in order to flex that muscle and have it become constant, to where eventually it's a continual flow of you and your knowingness through the body. So, a deep breath, feel your presence. Have you been aware of your awareness as I'm talking, feeling your presence? That's a good thing. Do you feel your body? Do you feel the weight of your body in your seat on the floor? So let's get back to these tools. So a lot of folks, and you can see it all around, they're not really in their body. That's why a lot of my videos, I start with take a deep breath. Ah, let your belly open up. Deep sigh. Ah. And for many folks, so much of their essence, their energy is up here. It's often tomorrow, yesterday, it's scattered. They're very like not not all here. You've heard the term not all here. It's kind of like that. So coming into your body, all of these methods. So I'm just going to name a few because this comes up so often. And there's so much buzz now, you know, I guess 15 years ago when I was trying to pull the plug on all this stuff. YouTubing, I found very little, Googling, whatever. Of course, in my younger days, there was no internet or cell phones. So it was like you were left to being lucky enough to meet someone or know someone who could help you with this stuff. And now we have just endless resources at our fingertips. So technology has been such a gift and such a beautiful way for us all to connect and share what's worked for us and our wisdom and to support each other. So, I will start with yoga as we go into if you are dealing with whatever. Okay, if you're human, again, you've experienced anxiety, stress, depression, emotional separation, unless you've fully come through it and you are 100% clear now. And still, then you keep evolving through a body, keep expanding. So, this pertains to life in general, living a beautiful, enjoyable life where the evolutions and the constant change, which life guarantees, where that constant change is welcome and enjoyed. So, to assist the body physically, I'll say physical things we can do besides just being in presence and allowing for old energies to release and for you to bring in more of that light. Yoga, of course, something I've been doing for 25 years. Uh, the breath, meditation, conscious movement in yoga is all forms of this type of healing. Anything where you're combining breath, presence, and movement, be it yoga, tai chi, walking, this is going to be rebalancing for your body. Where the old energies can leave, you clear out automatically. And then the prana, fresh, clear light comes in. That is a natural thing to happen when we allow it and we're in presence. So, with yoga specifically, one of the things I love to share in classes or start my classes with is the ujjayi breath, which is the breath of a whisper, where you constrict your throat like Darth Vader breath, or you're fogging a mirror. Uh, and traditionally, then we move with this breath in and out through the nose, but it can be like a sigh. Um, this stimulates the vagus nerve, and there's a lot of things that stimulate this vagus nerve, which calms your nervous system. So, very simple practices to calm your nervous system include singing, toning, humming. I was in a kirtan band for a while. That's mantra music, like Om Mani. So we sing songs about Shiva or Jesus or love or opening your heart. It's a devotion to the divine. Probably 10 years ago, I was in a beautiful kirtan band with my friend Dennis. And so that's one thing that as that vibration happens, and of course, with the intent on opening your heart, it purifies your body because you're just radiating this love. You are stimulating the vagus nerve, you're calming your nervous system. And one of the most, I will say, calming things for your nervous system is simply opening your heart. Well, how do I open my heart? Well, whatever makes you feel joyful, bright, and beautiful. So there's all these things that I've tried. Tapping, I used to wake up every morning and do the tapping. And this is great because you are feeling all through your body and you're connecting with all parts of your body. Donna Eden's energy medicine. I did a program with you're tracing your meridians, you're stretching, you're feeling. You might be holding pressure points, feeling the energy flow, especially the frontal lobe and the the subconscious, reconnecting left and right hemispheres of the brain. These are all great because you're feeling, you're breathing, you're connecting with your body, you're starting to consciously connect body, mind, energy. Um, EFT, the emotional release. I used to do that. I can't tell you how many things I used to do every morning. Just, when I pulled the plug personally on all those meds. Wow. Years and years of the avalanche of all the emotions that it was numbing. So for a couple years, it felt like utter hell. I mean, hell times a million times eternity, that every breath sometimes seemed to last like I don't know, an hour seems short. But my point is that I needed all the help I could get every day in every moment to just keep feeling my presence, letting those old energies move through without going into fight or flight. Because the minute you go into fight or flight, lockdown, fear, your diaphragm pushes up under your ribs here, pushes the organs all up. Now your frontal lobe scanning, scanning, scanning for danger. Your breath becomes short up in your upper lobes, and it starts a cyclical cycle. This cycle just perpetuates itself. So the ability when you're feeling anxiety to have these tools and get yourself out of it is priceless. And this is why I say it takes that commitment to yourself, because for a number of years, every morning I would get up and do technique after technique after technique after technique for many weeks, months, and years, wondering, well, is this really ever going to finally like sink in? But you have years, maybe decades, lifetimes of these energy patterns. And so, sometimes I work with folks who get quite down on themselves. Oh, yeah, I must be doing something wrong, or maybe this is the answer. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe this is the solution. Maybe that's the solution. Like a quick fix. I'm going to go work with this healer and they're going to change everything for me. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I fully believe in complete honesty. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to go get one session or one treatment or go get energy work done and poof, it's going to change everything. It's not how it works. You are rewriting everything, every system, everything, body, mind, brain, energy, subconscious, conscious, right down to how your blood pumps through to your fingertips. Everything is rewriting, and things that took, decades to get into one pattern, it takes a conscious focus and awareness to change those patterns and to not just slide back into them. Oh, going into fear, worry, self-doubt, beating yourself up for something, all this kind of stuff, to stay in this awareness of presence and to keep repatterning your body. So we're not creating new beliefs. We're clearing out all the old beliefs to get to the core of the work I do, to go beyond belief and beyond conditioning into that expression of your true essence, beyond all past human conditioning. But we are continuously choosing in every moment the thoughts we're going to think, the thought streams we're going to go down. If you're going to feed fear, your body will experience fear. So, all the modalities, all the breathing, the movement, the singing, the conscious this, the conscious that, the energy works, the healings, the group events, I do energy work, I do group events, I do the breathe and feel is very much a somatic relaxation experience to allow you to release old energy and embody new, to even begin to start doing your own aspect integration, to accessing those subconscious traumas, memories, PTSDs, whatever, and start bringing that light back to you, cleared and purified, collapsing all the barriers, all the fears, and all the old energies. So all of this is relevant. But no matter how much energy work you do, no matter how much yoga, Tai Chi, breathing, at the end of the day, if you keep empowering the same thoughts, then you're just going to have to keep doing the energy work. I had a friend who went to acupuncture and they had a physical ailment issue going on for years and had tried everything. And they were like, oh, I don't believe in this stuff. Now, 20 years ago, I thought energy work was a bunch of crap people made up to rob you, to, a bunch of woo woo baloney, until I experienced the magic of energy work. I had a fantastic facilitator who was by my side through the last, I don't know, 12 years of this whole thing. And his energy work, definitely I could feel how it sped things up, lightened things up for me. So, but I would only, I had to experience it to know for sure that it's real and true, because it sounds utterly ridiculous if you've been living a life as the typical, well, standard American conditioning, right? The standard consciousness on the planet of, um, that we only believe what we can see or what we've been taught, and that, whether it's talking to angels, galactic beings, feeling, seeing energy, past lives, connecting to people who have crossed over, that's all normal to me now, but I definitely didn't necessarily believe that at the time. So anyway, this friend had gone to acupuncture. And I mean, that always seemed like, really, to me. But she was like, oh, wow. Like all my symptoms went away. Like it worked so good. So I started going every week. Now, this conversation happened just in the last maybe 6 years. So I'm already now doing energy work, and I've cleared all this stuff out of my body. I know that I can move energy. I can allow it to move. I can expedite it. I understand a lot more of how this all works. And so then pretty soon the energy work stopped helping. Her symptoms came back. She didn't know why. It's like she kept going, but wasn't getting the same results. And this is very, very important, because you can go to all the healers, get body work, do massage. Self-massage is great. Anything where you're connecting with your own body, etc., etc., etc. But until you get to the root cause, uh, the symptoms just keep coming back. And the first thing in getting to the root cause is right here. We'll say resolving the misconceptions of your mind, the conceptions of judgments, because nothing is good or bad. Nothing is positive or negative. It's only the label that we've placed upon it as humanity. So, the sun is shining today. Oh, I'm happy the sun's out. That's good. Oh, it's, you know, blizzarding today and cloudy or dreary. That's bad. Well, that's just a label that you've chosen. That's the perception that you've chosen to label something as positive or negative. Positivity and negativity don't really exist. They're not really real. They're just beliefs that we've created. And so everything in life is like that. Everything, everything, everything. And it's all situational, right? If let's just, use, I don't know, who's a really amazing figure. The Buddha is coming to my awareness. What if the Buddha had not been the Buddha because the Buddha wanted to be have 10 children and be the best parent on the planet? But then they never did their little walk and sat under the tree and became enlightened and got to share that with others. So on one hand, they could have been a bad parent. They, say they had 10 kids and then walked away. Oh, bad. That's bad, bad, bad. But over here, then they, you know, obviously changed the world. One of the most enlightened beings ever to walk the planet. Um, Obviously, Yeshua, Jesus, wasn't celebrated in his time by everyone. A lot of people thought he was. So, good or bad, it's not actually true. It all depends on the position you take and how you look at things. So, it's all judgment, 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 judgment. And you could say murder is bad. Well, it's definitely not honoring another person's life in many cases, unless it's self-defense, maybe. But is murder actually even bad? Okay, this is not going to be a popular topic, probably, but in the grand scheme of things, when you're in your full awareness as consciousness, looking at all your lifetimes, we'll say um, infinite lives, infinite parallel realities, infinite, and you're not attached to this form. Does it really matter to you whether you live 1 year, 10 years, or 100 years? Um, you're never actually killed. So does it matter how long your forms live, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to say it's all subjective, all judgment. It's subjective and it's all relative to each person's level of consciousness and the lens that they're looking through. And ultimately, no judgment is true. And you have the complete ability to release all the judgments and just be in that space of everything is as is. I just am. I'm not good or bad. I'm not worthy or unworthy. I'm not going to sit here and say, I am worthy. I am worthy. I am lovable. Okay. I'm not worthy or unworthy because that's all judgment. Who could even decide where's the definition? Is there a big giant book with definitions of this equals worthiness and that equals unworthiness and little checklist, and you're going to tally it up, and at the who wrote that book? Who's in charge of that? Well, at the end of the day, there's only one person that decides whether you feel worthy, lovable, good enough, that you have the right to just feel good about yourself as is, and that person's you. That's only ever you, unless you want to give your power away to the outside world, unless you want to give your power away to mass consciousness. You can call it low consciousness, judgment consciousness, hate consciousness. Um, if you want to give your power away to all the conditioning and all the unconsciousness in the world. But of course you don't. Of course you don't want to give your light away. This is where we re-embody it. Now, this that I'm speaking of, this awareness of what judgment is, what beliefs are, how we can reorient ourselves, reframe our perspectives about what is, who am I, what is life, why are we here? Oh, I came here to fall asleep, go into this unconscious state, and then come out of it and transcend it. I'm not here to fix anything, to solve anything, to fix something about myself as though I'm broken. I'm actually here to transcend the idea that I need to earn lovability, that I need to earn my divinity, because I always just have always been that which I am and that which I'll always be. But to also have the adventure of having a physical body, of, I'm going to call it the satisfaction, the great joy of experiencing incredible depths of despair, frustration, anger, rage, horror, fear. I've experienced what many times felt unbearable. I can't do this anymore. I can't. To go from that to no longer feeling that, whoa, that is a huge satisfaction, a huge joy in life, to even feeling neutral and then going beyond neutrality into feeling bliss and excitement for life. And all of this, all of this, all of this, all of this really comes down to feeling the love that you are. Not love that's conditional. I'm lovable because I'm a good neighbor, like State Farm. I'm lovable because I smile at everyone. Not having to have any judgments or, speaking of emotions, that nothing is good or bad. Well, then sadness, anger, grief, shame, guilt, it's not bad. Oh, okay. Well, if nothing's good, nothing's bad. Emotions are just emotions. Thoughts are just thoughts. Now I can really be in presence and feel it all. Oh, that's just anger moving through. There's the energy of, feel the energy of sadness over here. And the more that we do whatever we do to release the old energies, the old traumas, to be in presence, to be in awareness, to be in acceptance, the absence of judgment. And acceptance, little disclaimer I always like to throw in, doesn't mean letting everyone walk all over you. It means being true to yourself and accepting yourself first and foremost, So if you want to say no to something or someone, you say no. If you want to walk away from a situation, you give yourself permission to always accept yourself first and foremost and how you feel, and support and nurture and embrace all parts of yourself, the parts that still feel like they're off hiding in the corner or scared because somebody's judged them, or, the child who's been bullied. So we accept and nurture all parts of ourself first instead of judging them, like, oh, gosh, why did I do that again? I got short tempered with someone. This is where we become our own best friend and start being like, you know what, it's okay. It's okay, buddy. It happens to the best of us. Why do you suppose you got short tempered? Oh, yeah, you were feeling threatened. Why were you feeling threatened? Oh, you felt like you were trying to do this over there and they were pulling on you to be over here. Huh. Well, how do you think we can deal with that? Oh, well, next time maybe we can look at them and say, you know what? I'm sorry I don't have time to deal with this right now, but I'm really busy over here. If you want to talk to me about this later. Oh, and you actually, this is your wisdom, by the way. This is you going direct with you. Or you can work with somebody side by side that can kind of help guide you through things when they get sticky or stucky. But you always have this wisdom and clarity of different ways to approach things. And you know what? Funny enough, then you have this way of being direct, being honest, dealing with and addressing situations. And pretty soon, that old frustration can leave. Because in this example, that frustration, that anger, that explosiveness just happened because you hadn't learned an effective way to communicate, to be true to yourself, to express what you needed first, to say no to someone. And for many of us, I'll use myself as an example. I used to try to be nice, be nice, be nice until I would explode. The no would be an explosion of protective anger instead of being upfront right away, like, hey, sorry, I'm really doing this over here. So if you want to talk about this, let's set aside some time. And if the person was just kind of energy feeding, we'll say unconsciously pulling on you, they'd probably be like, no, I'm good. And maybe not come back at you with that kind of energy. Or if the person actually was coming to you for, we'll say, a more sincere reason, then they'd be like, oh, yeah. And then you'd spend some time together and something really beautiful would happen. So all these old calamities, we'll say, would end up being turned, evolved into beautiful things where now rather than having a calamity, you have the ability to focus on what you want to focus on. And in the example where there's this other person maybe that you at one time had a conflict with, now either you express, here's what's going on, here's what I need. And if they're not really sincere in their approach with you, they might walk away. Yay, making room for new dear ones to come into your life. Or if they were sincere, then you would become closer. Your relationship would evolve and expand. So as we go through all of this, the most amazing miracles happen. Changes with your everything, your relationship with your body, your mind, how you feel about being alive, your sense of fulfillment, of confidence, and just being you, just being able to deal with and address and dance with whatever life brings to your door, because life keeps bringing stuff to your door all the time and it always will. So it's sort of like, rather than life being a series of, oh no, not this or this challenge or this change, it's like, oh, how exciting. One point, this thing used to really stress me out or create a lot of anxiety or bum me out or take me out or take me down. Now it's like I can just dance with it and it's so easy. And then new things come and new things come. So the excitement of the what I called achievement before is like more and more of the embodiment of yourself, of your wisdom, of your all knowingness. And it comes through the mind, the body, your ability to articulate, to talk to people, to communicate. It comes through in your relationship with work, with others, maybe romantic, maybe friendships, with money, with your community, with everything and everyone, your relationship with your pets, with food. There's no end to it. So as we go through all of this embodiment, awareness, consciousness, the expansion of our presence, the remembering of who we are, what I like to say is help me to love and not judge, and help me to embody, be, and express the love that I am and receive it also, to express and receive more love. So that's what I throw up to myself every day. Help me to embody, express, and receive even more love today, because the gift is in the giving as you express love. And now I'm not talking about smoochy smoochy, buying roses, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about love like that. The being the love that you are is being in presence. It could be the ability to sit with a friend or neighbor who is having the worst day ever and just stay present with them. That is a wonderful way to be the love that you are. Love being that of unconditional love, undefinable love. It's not tangible. It's not something you can define. The love of God, the love of source, the mystery of all that created this, you can't just like put a label on that. It's undefinable, and it would be sad to try to define it. It would be minimizing. It would be small-minded to think that you could define such a thing. So going back to all the processes, programs, book, religion, spirituality, and finding what works for you. Since the love that you are is undefinable, so is this journey. So is your return home, return to love, return to technically you never left, but as the part of us encased in this little human body, it feels like we left home, because all of you, the rest of yourself, is still always as is. You've never left the angelic realms, the celestial realms, the pure consciousness that you are. You're still always all expanded through all the quote higher realms. You've never left, but this part of you that's in the human body feels as though it left home. And it can be at times a very lonely and frustrating feeling, knowing that there's so much more to you, knowing you can taste it, feel it, sense it, know it, that there's so much more to you. So that more to you, always welcome it in. I welcome the rest of myself, my creator self, my higher self. I welcome my God self, whatever you want to call it. Call it your guides, all these archangels and ascended hosts. They're there. They're always walking with you. They're always your family, maybe deceased loved ones. They're always there. But the way you know that the messages are coming from you, your creator self, and your angelic family, is that they're messages of love, of support, of embracement. It's never a you did something wrong. Never, 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 never. If you're getting that, it's coming through the filters of the ego. So be on alert that the messages you're going to get are always going to be encouraging, inspiring, and supportive if it's coming from the higher realms. If it's coming from as judgment, got to, should, you should have done this, or you should have done that, maybe you did this wrong. Trust me, it's coming through your own filters, or it could be coming from other entities that have left their body and they did not cross over because they're still not back in communion of and as their whole self, their unconditionally loving self. And that creator self that you are is omnipotent, benevolent, omnipresent. It's always here, always here. Ask any question. So another key you could say is to keep welcoming you forth. I welcome forth my creator self, my all-knowingness, my wisdom as the facet of source that I am. And then show me what's next, show me what's next, show me what's next. In every breath, in every moment, that is the self that guides my life, that guided this video, that's guided literally every ounce of work, every video I've made, every audio I've made, every session I do. I show up in presence, whether it's the group events, the breathe and feel, the creator call, on and on. I have never worked off of a script. I mean, I'll take when I taught yoga classes 10 years ago, I still had a little script, but today it is now a flow. So, as you clear out the old emotions, as you allow them to leave through breath, through presence, again, whether it's any kind of system or approach that gets the emotional release and the recollection of your energy. As you do this, your body clears out and releases all these emotions. What happens when we don't have all these blocks in our minds, our bodies? We don't have all this interference flying around. We don't have like the constant thought streams. So, what is happening for everyone on the planet, truly, it's just more of a matter of how much we're all embracing it and aware of it and aligning ourselves with it, is that as these old emotions clear out, old dimensions collapse, as you recollect all the little facets and fragments of yourself that were perceiving themselves to be split off, it's like your body, instead of this little blocked up lump of coal, lump of lead, I should call it, opens up like a beautiful energy portal. And that energy just flows and flows and flows. It's physical energy, it's wisdom, it's communication. This alignment and this rewriting goes through your body, your heart, your mind, your conscious mind, your subconscious gets cleared out, and it's like you become more of a automatic expression of your creator essence. Your mind becomes a translator for consciousness, for energy, and life becomes more of an automatic flow. So at one point where it seems like it took a lot of work to tune into this, tune into that, what about this, what about that, or what should I say? A big one when people wake up and realize I'm not that human identity now. I don't know how to talk to people because everything I say seems just like it was a bunch of, blanketed statements. Hi, how are you today? Great. How are you? Great. Have a good weekend. Bye. And so many folks, I think pretty much everyone I know has gone through this where it's like, I don't know how to talk to people anymore. And you immerse in this presence and words seem flimsy, small, limited when you feel the wholeness of you and you feel the tangible essence of your being. But eventually, even that fades away and it doesn't matter. And you just allow this flow, this constant stream of consciousness, of energy. I'll say the consciousness is expanding through your body, but it creates energy, creator consciousness, right? And it brings energy through this portal. So as you move through this more and more and more, the body clears up, the mind clears up, everything becomes lighter and easier. And yet, of course, there are challenging moments. There are things that arise. There are situations, but never, ever, ever more than you can handle, of course. So, whichever thing you choose to shift your energy, just consider that it's all appropriate. It's all as should be. Follow what works best for you. But the core of everything, again, is to be in presence, to be in awareness. And I'll say the most important thing is your intent and your commitment to yourself. And from there, you can play with 100 or 1,000 different varieties of approaches, of practices. You can try this, try that, explore this, explore that, but you will find everything comes back to presence, awareness, and your intent and your commitment. And I will say where sometimes folks get kind of hooked up, especially when you get into the spiritual communities. I've been in a lot of them. A lot of times a whole new spiritual identity emerges where, oh, I'm in the right, this one has the right answers, or that one has, or we're the best, or we're the best, or whatever. And it can be tricky not to get sucked into identification and judgment. So to be really radically honest with yourself when you feel a trigger, when you feel any kind of trigger, to ask yourself, where is this coming from? And where am I judging? Where am I feeling threatened? Where am I trying to protect myself? Because unconditional love and your eternal beingness needs no protection. It needs no swords. It needs no fights with anyone. You don't have to have any battles. It needs not judge another and put another down and put you up here. It needs not be the victim or doubt yourself or project blame onto you or anyone else. So if any of that is happening, the ego's involved. And so, but the ego doesn't always like to admit that. Sometimes, and I'm sure if you've made it through this whole video now that you are understanding what I'm talking about. But sometimes when we feel these triggers, these deep ones, it's like, no, you don't want to admit it, do you? You don't want to admit it. It's like, it can't be me. It's got to be that other. It's because they're blah, blah, blah. It's because the world is this. Well, you know. So when you feel that resistance to, I will call it complete truth, absolute truth, the absolute truth of unconditional love, of isness, of what I will call through this human experience of going into every emotion possible, every challenge possible, because ultimately we are all facets of all that is. So the more you expand through your body, the more your awareness grows, you'll realize, oh, I don't just have 1,000 past lives. I have infinite past lives. I have been everywhere and done everything. I've always been on every continent, every planet. I've been part of every tribe. I've been part of every blade of grass that's ever grown. So as you expand even beyond the old past life clearing, and of course, you'll continue to see at times, for many of us, layers and links of past life, I'll call them parallel life energies, um, ad nauseum, maybe galactic lifetimes, maybe even lifetimes as other forms that aren't so human, even on this planet. It's pretty much endless, but it's not always that you had that life. It's that your awareness, your presence, your consciousness has always been the microcosm and the macrocosm. So as you experience this little singular form, you're also remembering that you've never been singular, that you've always been all that is. So, on one level, you're having a little singular experience, but simultaneously, you still are source. You are creator consciousness. You are all that is. And you can bring your consciousness anywhere to the creation of the universe, of the planet, of the galaxy. Your consciousness is not limited, but your body has its limits. Like, I need to breathe, this body needs to breathe air or it will perish. But you and your consciousness are very unlimited. So, going through this human experience of really what I will call the depths of despair, the pits of being petrified, terror beyond terror, being so afraid of death or the death of our loved ones, or fear of suffering, even physical suffering. That is really, really, really intense and really real when we're experiencing it. So I'll say the experience of it is as real as could be, even though it's not ultimately real in the end. It's not everlasting. It dissolves away permanently. Um, but through all of this, the beauty, the the biggest blessing, I'll say, or one of the biggest blessings, is the compassion that you have developed and is growing within you as you are able to see what people would call terrible, horrible things, terrible, horrible people, what people would call, the worst of the worst. And for you to have this compassion as a being of somebody who's gone through it, who has not only been able to become the best friend to all of their own aspects, to all their own, we'll call it dark or dense aspects, the parts of us that have been the abusers, have wanted to make someone feel bad and say something mean or do something mean. So everyone has an inner abuser, an inner, this, that, every part of the spectrum, because again, we are facets of all that is. And the more we can accept, not judge, again, the enlightenment being the absence of judgment, the more we can see everything as just is. This just is the play of consciousness. This just is what evolved, not trying to judge nor be in control of anything. And feel that presence and that expansiveness. And the more that portal opens and opens and opens, and the more we release all these old energy blocks, it's like this huge presence opens up within you, feeling connected to everything and everyone in a whole new way. Even feeling when you encounter people, it's like you know everyone, because you do. Because on one level, we are all that source light. So it's like everyone becomes like your friend, neighbor, brother, whatever, because there's a recognition. It's the namaste. The light in me acknowledges, recognizes, and honors that same light in you. And so it's very beautiful as this compassion arises. It starts here with yourself, and then it naturally spreads to everyone else. So if we're having a trigger, though, of judgment, you'll know it because there is a lack of compassion. And going back to that unconditional love, so we have the ability, as we navigate really with the mind and body in a physical world, again, we're not sitting up on that mountaintop, boom, all by ourselves for the next 50 years. We're actually hanging out with, everyone else on the planet and whatever we're doing in our physical worlds. It's like this compassionate dance just grows and grows and grows. So you're able to accept everyone unconditionally without letting them control you. So if somebody has the ability to make you angry, nobody can make you angry, only you can choose how you react, right? If somebody has the ability to hurt your feelings, if whatever they're doing over there annoys you, bothers you, why is this person, right now you've given your power away. You've given some of your light away as creator, because only you get to create your response, your perception, your reality. And if you're letting somebody else's actions or what's going on in the world affect how you feel, now all the energy work in the world ain't going to matter, because you're just creating the same emotional density, putting it in your body again. So as you go about your everyday life, it's really in your best interest, hugely, to be fully honest when you feel a trigger or judgment in yourself about anyone or anything, and you choose to feed your body a thought, like I'll call it like junk food thought, like, oh, I can't stand that girl. She's always doing this. She's so blah, blah, blah. If you're going to eat that garbage, you're putting garbage in your body. So you're just plopping a little more density in your body. Now you're going to have to go get another energy session or do some Tai Chi or some Reiki or do some yoga or go running or go, for some, they really clear out just being in nature or playing with the puppy dogs or playing with the kids, or going by themselves, whatever that thing that opens your heart and makes you feel light and joyful. Go for that. But it becomes a lot of I'm going to go stick more crap in my body and then have to clear out from it, and stick more crap in my body and then have to clear out from it. So when I work with folks, that is one reason I love doing clarity calls. I have 1 hour clarity calls on my website. And a new thing I've started is a 4-week or an 8-week package where we meet every week, because it's like, it takes all of your consciousness, all of your awareness, and all of your commitment to just be like, I'm done with this situation. I'm done with this, and I'm going to blow through it. I'm going to express through it. I'm going to expand through it. I'm going to move through it. I'm not going to get sucked into the old thoughts. I'm not going to get sucked into the old judgments, because the old energy, the ego, the identities you created of fear, of I am the this, that, and the other, they don't want to die. It is a live energy, you could call it, that wants to be fed. It wants to grow. The universe naturally expands. Energy naturally wants to grow. Once you create something, it either needs to grow or it needs to be collapsed. Can't be stuck stagnant. So it's almost like a choice needs to be made. I'm done with this old scenario. I'm done creating this or that or whatever in my life. So as you choose that, staying committed to yourself is so important, because the old thoughts are going to come. If I'll use myself as an example here. If you have always had long blonde hair and you wore a lot of makeup and you slathered on spackle, and I used to call it war paint when I would go to work in the corporate office, and then you adorned yourself with all sorts of jewels and gold and diamonds, and then you recognize there's a big identity and a big attachment to that, and you said, I think I'm just going to shave my hair and stop wearing makeup, which is kind of what I did for a lot of years, because this identity was always I'll say tormented by anything less than being like having the hair and the makeup and the right clothes and blah, 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 all this external crap like the media shows, if you've ever watched these fragrance commercials like, oh, Dior, whatever, and they're carrying their Gucci purses or whatever kind of bullshit makes people feel more worthy and lovable on the outside, but just creates like a bigger gaping hole on the inside. So I recognized a lot of that in myself. And then I just thought, I'm one of those pull the plug, rip the band-aid off people. So I'm just going to strip the whole thing down, and here I am. This is my human body. And for years, the mind and the ego just would come in these waves, these attacks. You suck, you look terrible, you're a swamp creature, you're scaring the children, go back in the house. And not just in the thoughts, but these emotional constructs that just kind of made you feel like you should go crawl back into your hole. And so my point is that as you choose to transcend some kind of old emotional bullshit, it's not just gonna be like flip of the switch. And so the change in this case was years. The first couple of years was so hard. I would have to constantly remind myself, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I am that I am. Have some humor with it. A couple times I stuck a piece of spinach in my teeth, or I purposely wore like mismatched shoes out into public just to kind of aggravate this emotional construct even more and laugh at it. Like, who cares? I'm not exactly on the cover of Glamour magazine, but I know a lot of folks have these egoic personalities, identities, perceptions of a self that are so twisted like that like, you have to look a certain way or whatever it is. Maybe you have to be the smartest or the richest, or you have to convince everybody you're very spiritual and saintly instead of those, mean and nasty thoughts you really think about people. So as you choose to transcend something, it can be a little journey in its own, a little adventure of its own. And it's like, so anyway, I was sharing, I do this 8-week package now where we meet every week, where it's sort of like, let's put our seatbelts on and hit the gas pedal and cruise through some of this stuff together, because those old habits, those old voices are so familiar, they're so subtle, they're sort of like so subtle sometimes it takes years before we go, oh, that's been projected at me, that I'm not smart enough, or I'm not competent enough, or I'll never make it, or blah, blah, blah. And the more we shine a light on these things, they're like, no, and they will just basically give every thought, every emotional energy, trying to reinforce that they're real and get you to align with them, agree with them, and start eating that junk food again and putting it back into your body. So the best approach is aligning mind, body, words, actions, and being clear, staying in clarity. Again, that's also why I called my YouTube videos like this the clarity series. Staying clear. I am that I am. Pure consciousness, pure awareness, and any of this judgment or emotion, it's just not me. And having no need to fight it, react to it, engage with it, battle with it, dissect it, analyze it, and allow it to dissolve. And before we wrap up, well, boy, it's been a long time since I made a YouTube video, and now I'm not surprised this has gone over an hour. The other thing I will just mention is, of course, in all of the work I do, if this any of this calls to you and you feel you could use that supportive inspiration, somebody by your side, please feel free to check out my website, cathybaumann.com, because I'm sure I can look at anyone saying, you will transcend this, regardless of what happens. There is no end to the ways we can change our perspective and not suffer anything and feel the love that we are, the presence that we are. And as you align your heart, your mind, your commitment, and your life with the truth of who you are, creator self, make me an instrument. Uh, Miracles happen, crazy, magical, fun things happen. But part of the work then also, not to skim over the very important parts, involve at times accessing the core memories of stuff that created these blocks in the body. So a lot of times with myself still, if something arises, let's put a door and walk right through it. I have a video, I think, on aspect integration that goes into detail about this, but let's go right there. And you can take your consciousness anywhere. You can go right to the moment that that was created, the first time you had that emotional response, the belief that you created, like, wow, I must really just be such a loser because, I don't know, the kids laughed at me, or my mom and dad yelled at me, or they say I'm different from everyone else, or whatever it is. So we go right to the creation. And that's where you don't have to relive it. You don't have to, God, could you imagine if you had lots and lots and lots and lots of abuse? Um, I know folks who were just horrifically abused when they were younger. Could you imagine if you had to relive all that? We're not going back there to relive it. We're going back there to pull that weed out by the root, to look at it, see how it was created, see how it affected your life, to even see the blessings that you got out of it, like how it made you more compassionate, stronger, how it helped you wake up, how, not that we're going to try to be grateful for getting smacked around or beaten or something like that, but how it shaped your life in certain ways that made you more independent, more sovereign, helped you break free of the matrix of the regular human conditioning. What a gift it was that you didn't always fit in with the rest of everyone. And then we bring back that light. And it's like pulling the root out. It's like unraveling the core memory. And then it's like it's connected to all these memories, all these memories, all these memories through your whole lifetime, through all lifetimes, through all space and times, through every level, every dimension. And it starts unraveling, and it's like linked through all parallel experiences, we'll call it, through all of your experiential realms. And so that in and of itself can be a incredibly overwhelming experience. As you, for those of you who, many who watch my videos work with me, it's like if you're experiencing at times overwhelm through your body, overwhelm through the mind, the body, overstimulation. There's so much going on. Wow, I'm just sitting here, but I feel like there's so much going on right now. And even going to the grocery store or going out in public seems overwhelming because it's like so overstimulating. part of that is because you are so busy on so many levels, going through so much evolution, and so much is clearing simultaneously. You're not just clearing like one lifetime or something like that. We are clearing everything from first separation through eternity. And so this is all happening so even beyond how I could. Now I'm having a hard time talking. This is all happening so much more expansively, and I will say beyond linear time, to the extent that I could never even begin to fully articulate it through words, because it is non-linear. It doesn't even fit into the mental parameters of kind of the human experience. So if you are doing this work with me or with anyone else, I've got a lot of friends who do the similar type of stuff, and a lot of folks, we're all in the kind of same circles at times. Just know that if you're experiencing a tremendous amount in your body, in your consciousness, in your awareness, and it seems like things are moving very fast, or it's very busy, or it's very uncomfortable, one of the best things you can do is just breathe and feel and be in presence, because it's already happening. And the more that you are in presence, the more it's moving, the more it's happening, the more it's speeding up, the more it's amplifying, because your presence does it all for you. Your presence, or the presence of God, the presence of creator consciousness, purifies and divinitizes all the emotional energies, all those constructs of separation automatically. You did the biggest job you needed to do when you woke up and you said yes to yourself. So, on one hand, yes, we go in at times and access that core, and things unravel very quickly. And it's wonderful, and I'll even say important, for you to be able to be in presence with the emotional energies, looking these things right in the eye, saying, show me where this started. I don't care if I feel I'm experiencing this energy of fear, but I'm gonna look at it anyway, because I am that I am, and what do I really have to be afraid of? So it can seem like a lot of work to face the fear. It is a tremendous mountain to climb, to face the fear. It's like walking through a brick wall at times, like, I will face this fear. And you have that ability. And once you dig deep and you commit to that, and it really is, beyond the intent, you face it, things unravel very quickly. So there's elements of work, but it's not the traditional old types of work like therapy or counseling. You don't need to sit and fill notebooks about all, you don't need to relive all the experience. You don't need to rehash everything. Your presence is the most potent and powerful healer. The presence of God, unconditional love. It heals everything, it dissolves everything. And yet, we still have to bring the mind along. So there are times where a little writing, a little talking to yourself, being your own best friend, reframing all of your perspectives, reframing all of your perspectives on creation without boxing them in, as in, this is reality. Reframing, going, oh, I can look at this situation from here, 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 and I'm open to seeing it through endless other lenses. So instead of having a single truth other than I am that I am, it becomes like you could have a million truths. One day you could be this expression, the next day you could be that expression. You're no longer locked in to any hard-coded way to be, because you no longer have any judgment. You allow everything to be, everything to flow, and letting yourself really enjoy life more than ever. And so as we wrap it up, I want to thank you for joining me. I know that so many folks are having intense physical experiences right now. And truthfully, as long as you are not getting into fear, worry, self-doubt, if you're not feeding your body junk food, And if you feed it a little junk food, you can clear it out. It's not the end of the world. You fed it junk food for most of your life until you woke up. But if you're staying in presence, sometimes what happens, and this is really coming through as a important message for some right now, uh, it's like this enlightening amplifies and expands and amplifies and expands. So there's times where you have a sense within yourself of, I know all is well. Maybe you're not there yet, but for many of you, you are. And yet, wow, my body feels funkier than ever. I got these weird situations coming up, weird, I don't know, conditions, you could call them, sensations, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the body is doing its best to catch up. Your consciousness is expanding so rapidly, and the body is really going through a lot of evolution through this right now. So it feels weird. It's like any healing thing or cleaning thing. First, things get messier before they get better, and we do go through waves of feeling like, wow, gosh, all of a sudden I thought I was doing great, and now I feel like I'm not so sure anymore. Did I go backwards? Da. Rather than feeding your body any junk food, take a breath, feel your presence. And, you know, if you're like me, you could just sit and stare out the window for an hour or two and have very little thoughts move through the awareness now. Because if you feel, just a tip, my favorite tip maybe ever, as you feel, the mind's not thinking, when you're just feeling the room, feeling the trees, feeling creation, feeling the body, feeling the breath, feeling your feet on the floor. When you feel, your mind cannot logically process and think. So feeling is the fastest way out of this little hamster wheel up here. So perhaps you can just sit in silence, as I really like to do. But for many, the mind gets too busy. They get too sucked into the gravity of thought streams. So do a little dancing, singing, stimulate the vagus nerve, singing, humming, dancing, toning, anything. Ah, yoga, the ujjayi breath. I used to do ujjayi breath all throughout the day while I was driving, while I was sitting at my desk at work, while I was interacting with customers. I stay in that breath. That is the quickest, easiest thing I know that you can incorporate everywhere, anywhere, with anyone, everything. You can be in your breath all day, every day. It's just a matter of retraining your awareness. All right, mind, your job is to feel the breath. That's it. Again and 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 again until it integrates. And these are muscles that we're growing. So if you need help staying in presence, not feeding your body junk food, feeling your presence, letting it expand through your body, another really important point here is that every second you're in presence and you're feeling and not thinking, that light of consciousness is expanding through your body. That portal is widening. That clarity is growing. So take every opportunity, every tool, every practice that calls to you, that keeps you in presence. So if it's walking down the trail, looking at the birds, the flowers, the sun, the water, taking pictures, for some, that is an incredible way to do it. Tai Chi, yoga, breath, meditation, all the conscious stuff, tapping, massage, get some energy work done, go sit in the temple, do some mantras, meditation, on and on. There's really no right way. I know a number of friends that love to go off, this isn't really as much for me, into major wilderness like hikes, like off into the mountains or these super crazy treks. But nature is a wonderful reflection of our more natural state of divinity, right? To break energy. So take as much time as you need to break energy with the world too. Sometimes on my days off, I declare do nothing days, like check my email in the morning, that's it. I am out. I am not available for anyone other than whatever I feel like doing and whatever calls to me and I enjoy. So take care of yourself. If you need to break energy with the world and take time for yourself, do it. if you have been hiding away from the world, like so many get into as they feel all this intensity and sensitivity, maybe you want to just take a little um, take a little side trek or whatever off into go do something, go to a little shop or go for a walk or whatever. Just find what helps you stay in presence, feeling your body, moving the energy, any type of exercise, movement. And likewise, it could be quiet, seated, silence, breath, and meditation. So take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.